I don't care what you think, I have to go. So go and eat a snack and just enjoy the show. Yeah, it's your man Antoine Azar, the Antoine Azar Show, you know what I'm saying? Get your popcorn ready, kick back. One love. Yeah, what's up everybody? You already know who it is. This your man Amaru, aka Antmo the Dark Knight, back again with another episode of the world famous, you already know what it is, Antmo the Dark Knight TV. Glad to be back, you know what I'm saying? And today I want to talk about the relationship between Tupac and Suge Knight. Because you know how the media give people bad names, and Tupac and Suge were like the two black men that the media crucified. Because when you think about Tupac and Suge, you think about thugs or negative. The reason why I'm putting the exposed on the end, because their relationship wasn't what y'all might have thought it was. Like, this was a threat to the powers that be. Now we all know Tupac was raised by the Black Panthers, was raised by revolutionaries. We all know Suge Knight. Like Suge, he came up so fast. He set the bar for what a boss supposed to be. This nigga just bullied his way to the top. Just want y'all to watch this clip right here. This is how Suge climbed up the ladder in the industry, and we'll come right back.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Death Row opened up doors for Bad Boy. If it wasn't for Death Row coming out and selling the amount of records that they sold, Biggie, it wouldn't be possible for Biggie to have had came out. But for me to even be embraced at Black Radio the way I was embraced, to me even get the deal that I got when I first made my deal.
Suge's uncanny skills as a business person would quickly become the stuff of legend, as would his reputation as a man to be feared. From 1992 to 97, Death Row artists would sell more than 25 million albums and generate more than 300 million in revenue, making superstars out of some of the most charismatic performers in the history of hip-hop.
Suge was able to organize a lot of young, talented guys and recognize you didn't need to have a big superstar, that you could create stars, and you could create them out of the ghetto.
Suge's ability to work with artists from the inner city came as no surprise to those who knew of his own upbringing on the streets of Compton.
It's a competition out here. California don't care. California is one of the places where they ain't caught up in running and trying to get autographs. They want your bankroll. They want what you got, one way or another. That's why it ain't easy living out here, but it's good.
If Suge was never a gang member, as he's always maintained, he nevertheless understood the allure of gang life. But with his size and remarkable agility, his first ambition was to play football. And as a defensive lineman, he won a scholarship to UNLV. Rapper RBX, who along with his cousin Snoop would later join Death Row, also played for the school.
They introduced him as Marion Knight, and he jumped up immediately. My name is Suge, you know? I guess his name was Suge.
Suge came in, and I think from the first week of practice, we knew we had a special player.
He was feisty, spunky, you know, like Scrappy do, like, let me at him. That type.
When he said something to somebody, I think it really meant something because, you know, he went out there and busted his butt just like he expected the rest of the guys to do.
Suge became an all-conference defensive end, and his coaches were so impressed that he was named defensive co-captain. His skill at dealing with people, which would help him so much in the music world, was already apparent.
Guy had got along with everybody. White, black, it did not matter.
Actually, he was like one of the funniest cats on the teams. He's always playing practical jokes on people, running around at parties and stuff like that, having a good time. That's how I remember Suge Knight.
Suge was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams, but his football dreams ended there. His size made him a natural choice for working security in the music business, and from there he began managing artists. One of his first clients told Suge he'd written lyrics to Vanilla Ice's huge hit, Ice Ice Baby.
Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow.
The problem was he hadn't been paid. Suge decided to change that.
Suge came to me at the Palm restaurant first and just sat down and said hello. He was kind of nice, you know. It kind of scared us because he was really intimidating. You know, he had like 6 or 7 guys with him that looked like a football team. We couldn't figure out what the whole deal was. You know, hello, whatever, you know. And he came again at another restaurant, Benihana's. Said hello again. I was like, wait a minute. And then he came to another restaurant. And I was like, wait a minute. How does this guy know where we are at all times, you know?
Suge has made clear that he had connections to certain gangs in L.A. and used that as a technique to get his business done. That sense of, I will go any place I have to go to get what I need to get done.
One day I went into my hotel room and he was in there, and he's with several people, and then he let me know what he wanted, and he wanted to get some points off the record, Ice Ice Baby, and I felt a little threatened. He didn't really come out and just say, you know, exactly how he wanted it. He let you picture it.
His empire was built a lot on the perception of that he would do this or he could do that, and how to, you know, and that's all you need.
Being afraid of Suge Knight wasn't necessarily a bad idea. By the time he visited Vanilla Ice in his hotel room, Knight had a series of arrests and a propensity for violence.
Signed the papers and I left. I didn't go to the police or anything like that. I'm not crazy, you know.
He brought street culture, the street mentality right into corporate America, and it was fearless. You know what I mean? It was a take no prisoners kind of approach to doing business in this industry.
What happened was like 2 seconds and it was over. You know, he got the money and he did his thing. I don't have a problem with it. Maybe you can just look at it like I was an investor in Death Row Records. Whatever. Probably about $3 million.
Then Suge made his big move. When Dr. Dre grew dissatisfied with his contract at Ruthless Records, owned by fellow NWA or Eazy-E, he convinced Dre to join up with him and leave Ruthless.
They took advantage of me not knowing the record business back in the day. But you know, I know what's up with those numbers now. Can't be with.
In a career of shrewd and decisive moves, this one would prove to be the most important. Suge got Dre out of his contract, but Eazy-E sued Death Row, charging he was forced to release Dre from his deal.
Under threat of his life and telling him that they would kill his mother and that they were holding me hostage, under those kinds of duress, got him to sign releases for Dr. Dre.
Suge, nearly twice the size of Eazy-E, dismissed the accusations, as did the court.
The market we're going after, we're mainly for the people. I mean, for us, the West Coast, there's a lot of talent around that guys, we don't have the opportunity to have a chance to prove themselves. We're giving all the youngsters the opportunity. Basically, we haven't forgot where we came from.
By 1992, Dr. Dre and Suge Knight had assembled the hit factory that would be Death Row Records. Suge had helped Dre get a publishing deal with Sony, and with the advance, they began work on The Chronic. Dre's studio perfectionism soon burned through that advance, and Suge found another way to make some money: the soundtrack for the film Deep Cover, introducing Snoop Doggy Dogg to the world.
Creep with me as I crawl through the hood. Maniac, lunatic, call him Snoop Eastwood. Kicking dust as I bust police. And you never hear me howling about peace.
Tell you the truth, I didn't even like Deep Cover when we first did it. Matter of fact, they had to trick me into doing the video.
He felt that it would, you know what I'm saying, make his album be negative. So he didn't want to do it, but I pushed it on him. You know, I told him I'd come up with some lyrics. And we came up with it and put it out there, and it did good, and it set his album up.
The lyrics and force and stuff he was talking about, that's the stuff people wanted to hear because that's what was going on in the streets at that time.
Dre, what up, Snoop? Yo, I got the feeling. Tonight's the night like Betty White, and I'm chilling, killing, feeling, no remorse. Yeah, so let's go straight to the undercover source.
It's a great, great record, great track. And it made clear that for a lot of people out on the East Coast, this West Coast thing was not going to go away. In fact, it was evolving from Straight Outta Compton and that stuff to Deep Cover.
Alright, now you saw that how Suge came up. Now Tupac Pac was signed to Interscope, and Death Row was an independent label distributed by Interscope. So Pac and Death Row, they was already on the same label, they just wasn't together. So when Pac got into his situation in New York, and that's another thing, man, like a lot of people don't know, Tupac never ever got rich in his career, because think about it, if you a famous rapper, $1 million shouldn't even be nothing to you. But when he was in jail in New York in 94, 95, he couldn't even bail himself out of jail because he never even had $1 million in his account. His bail was 1.4 million. He couldn't even bail himself out. What famous rapper / famous movie star don't even have 1.4 million? So it just goes to show you Pac was always a real nigga. He wasn't about the money, he was just about doing his own thing. But anyway, Suge came to bail him out, you know what I'm saying, for the 1.4, and he was out and he was on Death Row. Now when Tupac signed to Death Row, you know, he went along with what Suge wanted. Suge gave him a lot of ideas. Suge was the one, he was like, Pac, you got all these songs, we may as well do a double CD. Pac was like, alright, if you with it, I'm with it. You know, when he got together with Pac, Pac was just a workaholic. He ain't want no girls, no fun. He just wanted to go to the studio and work. So when they came together on Death Row, you always saw Pac and Suge hanging together. You always saw these niggas everywhere together. They was like big brother, little brother and shit. And the thing is, that relationship was dangerous for the powers that be, because like when Tupac first got with Death Row, he did the album All Eyes on Me. If you listen to that music on that album, that was probably the only time in Tupac's career that he did like a commercial album, a gangster rap type album, because it was his first album on Death Row. When he first got with Death Row, he went along with what they wanted, but when he got some time there and he got it after he got his feet wet with All Eyes on Me, he started to go back to his roots, you know, the revolutionary shit, the political shit. Suge was down with him no matter what he wanted to do, and the thing was, that was dangerous as shit. If you got one of the realest niggas of all time, great rapper, great actor, movie star, poet, street nigga, talent, you know, activist, all of this shit, he was an icon. And he was only 24 at the time when he got with Death Row. And Suge was only like 29, 30, you know what I'm saying? So these niggas was young for the level that they was on. And this was dangerous, because if you got a young businessman that's worth 100 million, Suge Knight, and then you got Tupac on the same team, and these niggas talking about going into politics. If you got a black man that's worth hundreds of millions, and you got a nigga like Tupac leading the movement, I mean, that's a scary combination for the white man to deal with, you know what I'm saying? So they had to bring that shit to an end fast. And Tupac knew it. That's why he did all of those songs at the end of his life, because he knew something was going to happen. But another thing is this. I want y'all to listen to this interview right here. A lot of y'all don't know, MC Hammer was on Death Row. Big Daddy Kane, Keisha Cole, Mary J. Blige, Jodeci. Like, it was a lot of artists fucking with Death Row that y'all ain't even know about. So I'm just saying this because if Tupac would have never died, a lot of those artists I would have named, they would have came out on Death Row. You know what I'm saying? So Death Row was growing even stronger, even though Dr. Dre had left at that time. But Death Row was evolving. But I want y'all to just listen to this interview right here, and I'm going to come right back.
I enforce my strength, my mind strength. That's what's more important to me now. The niggas see that this is not no accident. I plotted every single step from this to this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything is plotted.
It's ill that the next shit is called Illuminati, because that's really what the Illuminati's on.
That's why I put the K to it. Because I wanted, the niggas is telling me about this Illuminati shit while I'm in jail, right? Like, dollars.
Right.
That's another way to keep your self-esteem low. That's another way to keep you unconfident.
Right.
And I'm putting the K because I'm killing that Illuminati shit. Trust me, if these motherfuckers wanted to kill you, why the fuck they gonna tell Farrakhan? Why they gonna tell the Nation of Islam? Why they gonna tell this nigga in jail about the plan? How did he know?
Right.
How did it leak to him? Who told him? Who told him? The Pope? by the next election. I promise. I'm going to be sitting across from all the candidates. I bet you. You know how I be making it? I promise you. I'm not even going to be, I'm going to be so far from where I am now in 4 years. God willing, I'm alive. It's on. I guarantee you, we will have our own political party. And it won't be just for black people. It's going to be for Mexicans. It's going to be for Mexicans. It's going to be for black people. It's going to be for Armenians. I don't give a fuck. All you lost tribe motherfuckers right now, we need to have our own political party because we all have the same motherfucking problem. We built this nation and we get none of the benefits.
Helping to bankroll the battle is Death Row Records. The record label's hottest-selling artists have agreed to stage a concert with proceeds going to fight the initiative.
My record sales, we got 6 million. Snoop got 4 million. Dog Pound got 3 million. And we keep going. That means we represent that many votes. If we can represent that many votes, we got to let these politicians be scared.
Of what goes on in the streets.
And finally, Tupac, your friendship with that, because that was shown in that movie. And, you know, a lot of people like, him and no Pac? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, me and Pac have became very good friends. When I first came to Death Row, we sat down and we mapped out a game plan, and Tupac actually was writing the blueprint down of what me and him was going to do together. I'm so glad and elated to see that his movement, and what he really stood for came out in the long run. In other words, the world was not allowed to pigeonhole him as just one particular type of rapper, because he was always more than that. He was always a dude destined for great leadership. He was always a dude who loved his sisters and loved his mom and his mother, and wanted to see great things. He had activism in his blood, his mother, everybody know, but remember, that's why we loved each other so much and became such good friends, because that same Panther movement had a lot of its origins right here, in the town, and the Black Panthers headquarters was right around the street from my grandmother's house, so I'm all up and down and in that, and so we had a commonality in us, and rest in peace, man. But I, even in talking about it, I have fond memories, and I cherish them, because Tupac was a special dude, and he deserves his history and where he is, and the mortar that he is in the game. He deserved that, because man, what was coming next, the world wasn't ready for. I mean, this dude was gonna take it to the next level. He was gonna take this hip-hop thing to the Cornel West level. He was headed toward that direction. He was gonna take the film thing to not just movies of being a movie star, but movies that would impact your soul, your thinking. He was headed towards all that.
Yeah, it was a wonderful, and I'm sure a scary sight when I seen you, him, and Snoop at that press conference, talking about how you was going to take all your fans and flip them into a political force. That was the last thing. That was very scary.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because that's how serious it is. And to understand, David, that we actually sat down and talked about that. That we okay, Hammer, you gonna get all the Hammer fans. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say earlier when I said this is how we gonna approach, the high school thing. It's Hammer's movement to do it, but Pac riding with him because he's my brother. And then when he move one way, I'm riding with him because he's my brother. So we're gonna take Pac fans, Snoop fans, Hammer fans, and we're gonna make a political movement. So when we want certain people in office, we're gonna tell all our fans, this the dude that represents us, this the woman that represents us. And we were, as you know, you was at that press conference when we announced that. So man, it was scary to a lot of people.
So scary that they don't show that. You never see that on MTV, BET, or any of those places. The news doesn't bring it up. They talk about a lot of things. But to see you three at the height when Death Row was at a dynasty, to see like, wow, Hammer, Pac, and Snoop all sitting there.
You heard that interview now. They basically was talking about the blueprint. They was going to start a political party. Tupac, Snoop, MC Hammer, Suge, the Dog Pound. Like, these niggas wasn't playing no games. Like, when Pac came to Death Row, he straight took over shit. That's why Dr. Dre left Death Row, because it was just too much for that nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, I'm not a Suge Knight fan, because don't get me wrong, that nigga did a lot of shit that I don't agree with. Like, I believe that if he wasn't bullying all of those niggas, his label would have still been around. He brought a lot of attention towards Death Row. But at the same time, I can't knock him because, you know, he was that first black man. Like, this nigga straight bullied his way to get to the top. And I always respect that. But yeah, man, like, that was a dangerous combination. A lot of people don't really look at it like that because they just look at it as, oh, Suge was the businessman, Pop was the rapper. But yo, those niggas was going on some other shit, politics and organizing. And if Pop was still alive, yo, he was going on some whole other shit as well. He was about to start his own label, Machiavelli Records. Like, he was going to start his own label, and he was about to start doing music and movies and shit. Like, he was about to start waking niggas up. Cause you could tell the direction he was going in when he came out with his last album, Machiavelli. So if you listen to that Machiavelli album, you be like, oh, okay. Pop was going on some whole other shit. He was evolving as an artist and as a man. Pop got out of jail at the end of '95, and he got killed in September '96. So that was less than a year. And look how much damage those niggas did. Like, Pop was two different niggas, pre-Death Row and after Death Row. And he got as much material after Death Row, pre-Death Row. And pre-Death Row was like 5 years. After Death Row was less than 1 year. So if this nigga did damage, this nigga put out 3 albums in less than a year. Cause All Eyes on Me was a double, then Machiavelli. All of the videos he did 2 movies, Gridlock and Gang Related. So the nigga was doing work, man. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine if those niggas could have stayed together, and you never know what would have happened, man.
Dre, the one and only Doctor.
Dre, of course, brought the production skills and the good music.
Yellow Boys in the house.
Yella would help Dre mastermind this music. Yella would help Dre mastermind this music.
The Chronic goes out and sells 5 million copies, generates $50 million saved Interscope, made Interscope.
We invented something that wasn't out there. So it was fresh and everybody wanted it, from the East Coast to the West Coast.
It was a good record. I know a lot of cats that's pissed off behind those records right now because they say they haven't been paid or they didn't get credit for it. I know a lot of cats that's pissed off behind those records right now because they say they haven't been paid or they didn't get credit for it. I liked it. I mean...
Is there any Dr. Dre beat or any Daz Dillinger beat that gets confused for a Dr. Dre beat a lot?
I did Ain't No Fun. I did slew of songs, Rat-a-tat-tat. I mean, you know, a bunch of songs I probably just got programmer, something like that on there. You know. Yeah, it was, you know, it was a clobbering game back then. Mike, take.
You understand? And he wasn't producing shit. Other niggas was producing the beat, like on my album. Other niggas was doing the beat, and Dre was getting the credit. And I gotta go on MTV and be like, yeah, he did this, he did that. No, he ain't do it. He is a dope producer, but he ain't worked in years. And I got tired of that. I didn't think we needed that. I think we didn't need that. And he was owning the company too, and he's chilling.
Yeah, y'all. So now I want to talk about Dr. Dre, because in my opinion, Dr. Dre is a legend, but at the same time, he is not the legend that we think he is. You feel me? Because everybody always mentions Dr. Dre's name when they say who is the greatest hip-hop producer of all time. And I give Dre his credit because he did do a lot for the game. He did a lot for the West Coast. He did a lot for hip-hop. You feel me? And we just gotta keep it real. He is a legend, but let's break this stuff down because I wanted to get into this now. Think about this, right? When Dre was with Ruthless Records, right? Dre had turned Eazy-E into a rapper when he wasn't even supposed to rap. So that was a genius move because Eazy-E has a unique voice and he is a star. So why not, you know, turn him into a rapper, you feel me? So now, another thing Dr. Dre did that was legendary was he produced most of the tracks over there at Ruthless Records. But at the same time, when you look at his resume when he was over there at Ruthless, he had dudes backing him up that don't get the credit that they deserve. Now, DJ Yella, he played a great part in the NWA sound as well. Like I say, Dr. Dre was the main producer, but DJ Yella was backing him up. You feel me? Helping him out with the samples and shit like that. And it was also this other dude he was also named Dre. They call him L.A. Dre. And he was the nigga he was also helping out on the beats at Ruthless Records and shit. He used to play guitar and other instruments with Dr. Dre and Yella. So he had two talented brothers working with him, backing him up. You feel me? And like I say, that's nothing to take away from him. But you gotta, you feel me? It's a lot of brothers out here that do all of their shit by themselves. So you can't be the best if you got backup. Now let's get into this. I wanted to really get into this because if you understand when Dr. Dre left Ruthless, right? This was his time to shine by himself. This was his time to prove that he was that dude. But he didn't, because yeah, he helped put together two classic albums with the Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg's first album, and his own album, The Chronic. But when you really listen and you go behind the scenes of the making of both of those projects, Dr. Dre was not working alone. He had a lot of brothers helping him. As a matter of fact, Daz at that time did a lot of those beats. And he never got the credit for it. You feel me? A lot of those beats on The Chronic and a lot of those beats on Snoop Dogg's album, Doggy Style. And like I say, Dr. Dre was the main producer, but a lot of those beats, they would take like a Daz beat and they would put Dr. Dre's name on it. It's like similar to a ghostwriter in hip hop when a writer writes for another rapper and then the rapper takes credit for it, like Quentin Miller and Drake, like that. You feel me? And like I say, see, if you are an R&B singer, it ain't nothing wrong with having writers, because R&B is a different type of music. R&B, you gotta have certain melodies and certain harmonies and certain arrangements. So R&B is a little bit more difficult to write. Like when you a rapper or a producer, you lose points for having a ghostwriter. You lose points for having a ghost producer. You feel me? And that's what I'm saying. Like when he was on Death Row, he really dropped the ball, because not only was he having a lot of ghost producers, but remember when Tupac came home and Tupac got with Death Row, that was the perfect opportunity for Dr. Dre to show what he's made of. You got Tupac, the greatest rapper at that time in his prime, just getting out of the jail. He about to release a double CD, and he only get 2 Dr. Dre beats out of 26 songs. Only 2 Dr. Dre beats on 27 tracks of a double CD from Tupac in his prime. That's lazy ass shit. And Tupac called his ass out. He was like, yo, this nigga Dre dropping beats, making 2 beats a year, and I'm in this bitch dropping 100 songs a day. You feel me? Yo, Pac was going in. And I don't blame him, because I'm like, yo, if I'm Pac, I want some Dre beats as soon as I get the Death Row. That's one of the main reasons I'm there, to work with Dre and Snoop. So it's like Dr. Dre wasn't making no beats with him and shit. And not just Pac, but it was just everybody. Like, and I understand Dr. Dre had issues with Death Row and the thug life environment that was surrounding him, the gangbanging environment that was surrounding him. But at the end of the day, my brother, you still gotta work, my brother. You feel me? Like, you still gotta, even if you gotta make the beats at your house, and you don't want to go to the Death Row Studios, make the beats at your house and come back, you feel me? And you gotta take advantage of that opportunity to work with Pac on All Eyes on Me. That's history right there, you feel me? So yeah, now So Dr. Dre gets into it with Pac and Suge. He leaves Death Row and he goes to Aftermath. Now, Aftermath, I think this was the first time he was by himself and he tanked. His first album on Aftermath when he was in the Hollywood Hills dancing with the suit on, like, you got guns, we got straps. Stupid motherfuckers on planet Earth talk that hardcore shit cause that's all they worth. That song flopped. And then it took Eminem to resurrect his career because at that time Eminem was a pop star. So if he put Eminem on, Eminem was getting like special privileges that black rappers wasn't getting. You know, the MTV awards and the VH1. Like Eminem got more publicity because he was white. So Eminem resurrected his career. But like I say, that ain't no knock on him because Dre is a legend for discovering him. So like I say, that ain't no diss or nothing like that, but I'm just telling it how I see it though, you feel me? So yeah, definitely Dre is a legend for turning Snoop into a star, for turning Eminem into a star, for turning Eazy-E into a star. But another thing I wanted to get into was when he was on Aftermath, he had a white boy, y'all know who I'm talking about, producer named Scott Storch. Scott Storch was a ghost producer for Dr. Dre when he was on Aftermath. And Dre was taking a lot of credit for Scott Storch beats. And that's how Scott Storch became famous. As a matter of fact, if y'all listen to The Prodigy from Mobb Deep, his audio book, or read his real book, either one, it's the same shit. Prodigy was saying how Mobb Deep was one of the first groups to give Scott Storch a shot. Like, instead of Scott Storch being a ghost producer, Mobb Deep put him on their album as a real producer and gave him the credit and paid him and all that shit. So like, yeah, like Scott Storch was another one of his ghost producers. So like, if every label you go to, you got a ghost producer, or you got niggas backing you up, you cannot be the greatest of all time. You feel me? And that's all I wanted to get to. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I think that, you know, history, we need to, like I say, we need to be careful doing that top 10 thing and the top 5 and who is the greatest of all time. We should just appreciate all of our brothers, you feel me? All of the ancestors that created hip hop and jazz, and we should just appreciate all of them equally. You understand what I'm saying? All right, now I wanted to talk about Snoop Dogg because in my opinion, Snoop Dogg is like in the same boat with Dre. It's like he a legend, but he's overrated. You feel me? And let's go deep into this because in my opinion, like Snoop is more popular for his name. Snoop is more popular for the way he looks. Snoop is more popular because of his swagger. Like Snoop is not a great rapper, and he's definitely not a great artist as far as like putting together songs. And let's go into this shit because if you really look at Snoop's career, Snoop been out since like 91, 92. So that's almost 30 years. That's 28 years. 29 years. May as well say 30 years. So yeah, for 30 years, this nigga been getting money off of hip hop. For 30 years, this nigga has been in hip hop. Now, all of the money he got, all of the shows he got, all of the appearances he does, all of the music he does, for 30 years, this nigga only got one classic album. And now think about this, y'all. Like, when Snoop Dogg first came out, right? He had the classic song with Dre, Deep Cover. And then The Chronic came out. And then his album Doggy Style came out. Everything Snoop Dogg did after Doggy Style was straight fucking trash. You understand what I'm saying? And let's get into this because, okay, Snoop Dogg came out. And like I say, another thing is like, you gotta understand, this nigga don't even get all of the credit, because even on his classic albums, other niggas wrote for him. Like, y'all know DOC. DOC wrote his album. DOC taught him how to write 16 bars. So most of those songs on I know for sure DOC wrote a lot of shit on the Chronic, because he always write Dr. Dre shit. But for Snoop Dogg too, like, he wrote a lot of that shit on Doggy Style. And even if he didn't write the shit, he guided Snoop Dogg into being the artist and to write songs and shit. So that's one thing. That's one strike. Because if you a rapper, you supposed to do this shit on your own. You don't supposed to have no help. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said about Dre. And but let's get into this, because okay, you got your album, you got your hit song with the deep cover and shit. Then y'all came out with the 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door. So yeah, like, that was a classic. The Chronic album, I'll name the Chronic album a Snoop Dogg album just as much as his Dre album, because Snoop Dogg is all over the shit. And so when the Doggy Style joint came out, classic, you feel me? Classic ass album. I ain't got nothing negative to say about it. It's a classic, West Coast classic. So let's look at everything he did after the Doggy Style album. He got into the little murder case incident, and then he put out the song Murder Was the Case That They Gave Me. Now, that was a hit song. I give him credit for that, but still, that wasn't an album. That was like a Death Row soundtrack. So he got one song after Doggy Style, and that's the end, because okay, Tupac comes to Death Row, right? Tupac on fire, taking over the shit. Everything. All Eyes on Me, Machiavelli. Tupac was so much bigger than Snoop. Like, Tupac came in and snatched Snoop Dogg's spot. How you let a nigga come into your label, your house, and straight snatch the spotlight from you? That's one thing. But now, let's go into the music, because Suge Knight knew that Tupac was that dude and Snoop Dogg wasn't, because when you listen to the music, Snoop Dogg's album got pushed back because of Pac. Because when All Eyes on Me came out, that shit was fire, and Pac had all the momentum. So Suge was like, he heard Snoop Dogg's album, and then he heard the Machiavelli album, and you combine that with the fact that Tupac got all the momentum. He like, man, Pac got better music. He got all the momentum. He doing movies and shit. So I'm going to just go ahead and push Snoop Dogg back, and I'm going to put the Machiavelli joint out. So that's what they did. Now, think about this. Death Row Records was at the height of its height in 95, 96. And that's when Snoop Dogg's second album dropped, the Dogfather album. Now, think about it. Machiavelli had just came out. The Dogfather comes out like 2 months after Machiavelli, or weeks after Machiavelli. And what does it do? I don't know. You tell me. Cause nobody, I guarantee you, nobody can tell you one song from Snoop Dogg's Dogfather album. You can't tell me one verse, one hot song, one hook, no nothing, cause the whole shit was straight fucking trash. And that's what I'm saying. This nigga was on death row at the height of its height, and nobody even knows none of your tracks from your song. Because think about it, DOC had left, Dr. Dre had left, so Snoop Dogg was all on his own to make his own album, to make his own music. And he couldn't do it because he trashed. Now let's think about this, right? Alright, the shit go down at the MGM, Pac get shot, Suge get locked up, Snoop Dogg find his way off of Death Row Records, Master P signed him to No Limit Records. The same thing happens again. At that time, from 97 to 2000, No Limit Records was the hottest label in the world. Master P and them was the hottest niggas in the world. And when Snoop Dogg was with them, you cannot tell me a Snoop Dogg's, name one Snoop Dogg song you remember from his time with No Limit. Go ahead, I'll wait. Exactly. You don't know either. Cause I damn sure don't remember none of his shit. The only thing I remember from Snoop Dogg with No Limit was, I remember Snoop was in like one of their movies or something like that. Other than that, I have no idea what song Snoop ever did. I know he put out some albums with Master P and No Limit, but that's it. I know Silk the Shocker songs more than I know Snoop Dogg songs from No Limit. I know mystical songs more than I know Snoop Dogg songs from No Limit. You feel me? So that's crazy. Like Silk the Shocker is not even a good rapper. But I know a couple of his songs more than I know the songs you put out when you was on No Limit, nigga. This nigga's garbage, yo. And then this nigga, okay, so look. 91, Deep Cover came out. 92, The Chronic came out. 93, the Doggy Style album came out. So fast forward 10 years later to like 03, 02, 2002, 2003. This nigga start doing songs. All these songs with Pharrell now. Beautiful, I just want you to know you're my favorite girl. So he did the song Beautiful. He did the song Drop It Like It's Hot. Drop It Like It's Hot. So 10 years, it take you 10 years to do one hot song, and you need Pharrell to write the shit and produce the shit and to do the hook for you. You understand what I'm saying? So this, remember Jay-Z said that about Nas, you only hot every 10-year average? That was false. But for Snoop Dogg, that's motherfucking true. This nigga's only hot every 10 years. You feel me? And niggas calling him a legend, because I saw some clown ass nigga on the Breakfast Club not too long ago. He was dissing Tupac. He got a whole music video dissing Pac, but he was bigging up Snoop Dogg. Like, get the fuck out of here, you clone ass nigga. Don't ever disrespect the legend and the ancestors, nigga. And you gonna big him up for Snoop Dogg. Get the fuck out of here. Snoop Dogg is whack. You feel me? And I respect Snoop. I respect his legacy. But yeah, man, like, I don't want to go in too hard, you feel me? Because I mean, I fucks with the Death Row legacy and I fucks with the Death Row era. But I just wanted to point those things out because Snoop Dogg be low-key hating on Pac. And sometimes in his interviews and shit, he be trying to rewrite history and shit too. And I just wanted to break a lot of this shit down. Him and Snoop, him and Pac beef and his overrated career and Dr. Dre's overrated career. Because in my opinion, Pac and Suge did more for Death Row than Dre and Snoop. That's just my opinion, you feel me? But yeah, man, I don't want to be on this topic for too long. I just wanted to hit y'all with this Death Row Secrets documentary. It's your man, Antoine Lazar. Check out the album, R&B Gangster. Subscribe to the channel. Download the music. Support the channel. One love. Holla at your boy. One.
Yeah, right here, you know what I'm
it's
saying?
It's the R&B Gangster.
Better get out the way, 'cause I'm coming.
I'm so much of a gangster, that I don't really give a fuck. Hey, what's up, everybody? Before the day is over, make sure to go online and download the new hit album, R&B Gangster by Antoine Lazar, featuring the hit song R&B Gangster. It's the R&B Gangster, and I don't even talk much. I'm so much of a gangster, that I don't even think much. Do for love what you won't do. Do for love.
That's right.
Tried everything, but you won't give up. See, time is right. We can do it when the time is right. I'm on my way home. We can do it when the time is right. You just leave us alone. We can do it when the time is right. Dangerous. It's just the way that you look. The way that you talk. It's just the way that you walk.
So sexy.
And much more to come. All links are in the description box. I repeat, all links are in the description box.